Hello everyone and welcome back to Ruby Lessons in Codecademy. So in the last lesson we were talking about blocks. In the lesson before that we were talking about methods. So today we're going to be talking about something slightly different, which is again going along with the section. So we've talked about methods, we've talked about blocks. Now we're going to be talking about sorting. And in the next lesson, as you can see, we're going to be talking about a review. So we're going to be seeing what we have learned so far. But in today's lesson, let's talk about sorting. So sorting arrays is a very common problem in computer science and is well studied for that reason. There are many algorithms, well-defined sequences of steps, or in a way I guess you can call them functions, each with its own trade-offs and advantages, so pros and cons. Sorting algorithms can be a great introduction to computer science as a theoretical discipline. But for now, we'll focus on how to use Ruby's built-in sorting library, which implements a few of these algorithms. So why might you want to sort? Let's discuss this a bit at first. Say you have a massive list of names, and you want to sort them by alphabetical order because that's most useful. Later on, if you wanted to find a certain name, it would be much easier if you had all of the names in alphabetical order compared to if you had them all randomly. Because if you had them all randomly, you would have to start at the top of the list and go to the end. But if you had them in an order, so sorted alphanumerically or in an alphabetical order, you can just look at the letter M, and you can search for all of the M's if your name starts with an M. Similar thing with numbers. So let's get started with numbers, seeing as that's kind of more simple. So use the .sort method to sort the values in my magic array. Magic, isn't it? We'll see. My array .sort exclamation mark. Just a reminder, the exclamation mark means do sort to whatever I'm giving you. You could also write this as my array equals my array.sort. You would get the exact same result. But that's not what it wants us to do. So let's do what it wants us to do. Exclamation mark, and there we go. Even though this isn't going to be displayed normally, Codecademy is displaying it, and we can see that this list has become this. So let's just prove that. I will do puts my array, and once I do that, same thing happens. Moving on. Foundations. So if we were to hand you 5 books and ask you to put them sorted by title on a shelf, how would you do it? Most sorting algorithms assume we are sorting an array of items, which involves comparing any 2 items in the array and deciding which should come first. For our books example, if for any pair we always choose the book whose title came first in the alphabet, as we discussed just a few seconds ago, we could devise a strategy for sorting. So these strategies are the sorting algorithms mentioned in the previous example. Our job is to decide how to compare 2 items in the list and let Ruby decide which strategy to use. So, what Ruby method could we call on books in order to sort the list of books alphabetically? Try it out in the editor. So, I'm pretty sure that we can just do the exact same thing as before. Books.sort exclamation mark, and it is just going to sort it in alphabetical order. Let's just see what the hint is going to do. Yeah, that's what it's going to tell us. So .sort can sort numbers. It can also sort strings. And I want to experiment with this. What is going to happen if I add like a number in here, or integer? If I put 3 there. Oop, okay. So you can't actually do that. The array that you're sorting has to be has to only contain one specific type of variable. So in this case, we have strings. If you were to sort integers, you can have integers. What you can do in this case, though, is have numbers as strings. So those are also going to get sorted. Just to prove, I will put them in. And numbers come before everything else. Oops, I meant have a comma there. Numbers come before letters, which is why they're going to be at the start of the list. But in this case, they are as strings, they're not as integers, which is why this does actually work. So let's go back so that we can actually move on. There we go. Moving on. The combined comparison operator. We can also use a new operator called the combined comparison operator to compare two Ruby objects. The combined comparison operator, that's a mouthful, looks like this. So you have lesser than, equal to, greater than. It returns 0 if the first operand, item to be compared, so probably on the left hand side, equals the second, 1, or 1 if first operand is greater than the second, and -1 if the first operand is less than the second. So less than -1 equal to 0 greater than 1. It's quite logical actually. A block that is passed into the sort method must return either 1, 0 or -1. It should return -1 if the first block parameter should come before the second, 1 if vice versa, and 0 if they're equal weight, meaning one does not come before the other. So they can be in any way around if the two values are the exact same thing, or equal as it says in this case. Instructions: use the combined comparison operator to compare book 1 to book 2 in that order. Before you click save and submit code, what do you think the result will be? So this one is going to come first. So therefore the result is going to be a -1, I believe. Book 1, comparison operator, book 2. Let's see. Yes, it is 1. Or no, did I say -1? So this one comes after this one. And therefore the result is 1 because, well, book 1 is greater than book 2. If you think of them like integers, so I know it's kind of weird to compare them to integers, but this is going to be 1 and this is going to be 2. 2 is greater than, comes later on in the array, than 1. Because 1 is less than 2, 1 comes before 2. Which is why we have a 1 as the result of the comparison operator. So hopefully that makes sense, and also it explicitly says it here. It should return -1 if the first block parameter should come before the second. But because it doesn't, because the first parameter doesn't come before the second, or the opposite happens, we get 1 if vice versa. Hopefully that makes sense. I think it makes quite a lot more sense if you kind of use them as integers. So this is going to be 2, and this is going to be 1. 1 comes before 2, because 2 is later on in the list, or in the array. So moving on, getting technical. What if we wanted to sort the books by title, but from Z to A, or descending order, so in the opposite way that you would normally sort them? Because if you have like a folder, and you can always sort it by name, yes, but then you can also sort it by name the other way around, or by date, descending or ascending order. You might sometimes want to do that as well, so that you don't have to scroll all the way down, but you can just click one button and the one that's at the bottom becomes the one that's on the top, and that's the most useful to you at the moment. So the sort method assumes by default that you want to sort it in ascending order, but it accepts a block as an optional argument that allows you, the programmer, us, to specify how two items should be compared. So sort your books in descending order on line 8. Use the example of sorting in ascending order on line 4 as a guide. So, okay, so we have sort, and it gets this block as kind of the input or the argument. So, okay, let's copy that. And instead of having them this way around, we can just swap them, I believe. Second book can come here, and first book can come over here. And there we go. So first, the one that was before, so this one wasn't sorted, and it was all random. Then this happened, and now we are doing this. So let's actually put this, even though it's already out here. But as you can see, the first one is with a W, War and Peace. So it's definitely not in ascending order. But it's in descending order. So let's do books. Puts books. If I do that, it starts with W instead of instead of A. And the one that we would expect to be normally first becomes last. Also, before I do this, actually, I would also want to put puts here, books, just to have a comparison. And I will do puts, just to separate them. I'll have like a line. And if I do that, as you can see now they're in descending order, and here they're in ascending order. I believe that's the correct way around, or the other way around actually. So this is in ascending order, this is in descending order, because we're going the other way around. And as you can see, it works quite fine, because this, well, this is a mirror image of this. So if you have any questions about this lesson or any of the other lessons, do feel free to ask in the comments down below. I will be happy to explain them as much as I can, I guess, and as soon as I can. Other than that, if you enjoyed watching this video, please give it a like, share and subscribe. It encourages me to make more videos. Sorry about that, my tongue got twisted. But yeah, until next time, thank you so much for watching again, and goodbye.